Hi everyone, welcome back. Now we're not in German anymore. Now we're in English with the guest we already hinted about. It's no one else but Paweł Sasko, our first international guest. I obviously had the pleasure of working alongside you for years at this point, as did Ryan. But could you maybe say one or two words about who you are and why you're, spoiler, not in Warsaw anymore?
Yes, I'm not in Warsaw anymore. Pleasure to be here, my dears, as always. Just doing things for the community. That's always amazing. Yes, I'm not in Warsaw. I'm in Boston right now. We're building Cyberpunk 2. Yeah, spoiler, that's actually happening. We're actually doing it. And yeah, I moved out, of Warsaw a year and a half ago. So I've been in the company for 14 years now, almost, since Witcher 2. So that's been for some time. And yeah, we decided, okay, well, it's been enough of this Polish experience. Now try to, time to check hamburgers in Boston. So that's what I did.
Nice. And for the one or two people that don't know what your job is, what is your actual job on Cyberpunk 2?
Yeah, I'm sure that there's more people that don't know that.
You underestimate the German community. The people watching or listening to this podcast, they are tuned in. They know who you are.
I see. That's great. That's great to hear. So yes, my dear. So I used to be a quest lead and a quest director, and then I became associate game director. So together with Gabe Amatangelo, we are trying to wrangle the cats in this like flying circus and make the game happen. That's basically my job title. Responsible for the vision of the game, execution of it, making sure that we hire the right people, train the people right, share the vision right, make the decision regarding like features, but also art style, but also story, but also, just music, pretty much everything. And I also, take care of Cyberpunk 2077, obviously.
Yes. How do you, just so you have an introduction to our podcast, it's always that Ryan has a plan and I'm ruining it, so I'm already ruining it, but it's a purposeful decision. So, how do you find the shift from being responsible for quests to shifting the mindset to make it a bit broader, even, right? And suddenly also being responsible for things like, as you said, music and all those things, because it's a different area of like a scope, right? How do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's super exciting. I love that. When I became a quest director on Phantom Liberty, I actually had not only quest team, but I also had open world and cinematics. So at that point, I have been already exercising a little of my, trying to exercise a little of my skill set and learn other things and so on, help those two other departments. And our work was so close though, because it's always like story related, characters related, that I felt that like I don't really have to learn this many new things. With game director position, it is much different. There's like so many strategic decisions connected to technology and people we hire, and things we invest on, and so on. So it's, I would say, just much more strategic and a little high level. But there's a lot of game work as well. I do have Unreal installed, and I like I like implementing stuff, so here and there, touch things, watch all the tutorials I can that our team members are making, so to know that I'm actually informed. I know what they're building. So yeah, I love it. I think it's cool that you can finally like use, some of other skills. With quest design is a really interesting discipline. Like a lot of disciplines, just in general in game design, they're very connected with one another. But quest design specifically is like something that is really like a glue that holds together everything. Like you pull
Hmm.
together just so many different elements. So in a way, I had to do that for the last 19 years when I was a quest designer or a quest lead or a quest director. For all those years, it was always kind of there. Like I always dealt with music and level design and gameplay. That was always there. It's just now it's much more hands-on. It's
Yeah.
much more of like, I really need to know what's going on. So
That sounds really exciting. I could ask you like 5,000 questions about this, but instead, because, there will be time to talk about all of this in the future whenever you and the team have more to share. So let's maybe take a very long step back. Paweł Sasko as a kid, as a teenager.
oh my
What
god.
makes, yes, as a child, what make made him go into video game development?
Oh my God, that's a very step back.
It's only been like
I
15 years.
Yeah, I come from a pretty poor family from Polish mountains, from Polish mountains, and from Bieszczady, where we had like a house, and I never had a computer. So when I was I think 17, I believe, or maybe 16. My dad and mom decided to buy us the first computer, but of course, I saw computers before. I saw them in my friends were using them and so on, but I never really had a chance to use one. So what I was doing, I was reading this like legendary game magazine at the time, Secret Service. It was in Polish. It was like running for like, oh my God, very long time. It was incredible, honestly. So at that time, I was working on my with my parents on a farm. So we had cows, we had like ducks and chickens and pigs. And I was basically, we had 3 cows at the beginning, then we had 2 cows, and I was just basically taking the cows for pasturing, outside. That was kind of like my thing as a like a young teenager and then teenager, probably between like 11 to like 15 or something. That was always my job, to just make sure that the cows are taken care of. And I really liked that, to be honest. So when I was going with the cows, I took like in my bag with magazines with me, and Secret Service was always with me. So kind of like that's how it started. I was just sitting in the grass with my cows walking around me.
That's actually a very beautiful picture. No, it is. No, I think it's a beautiful picture. And it speaks to the strength of games that they can, even through the
Yeah.
writing, right? Like motivate you. But sorry, please go ahead. So you're sitting in the grass with your
Yes,
cows.
I was just sitting in the grass and just like, yeah, reading the magazines, and I was imagining how you play it, because like I never played a video game before, so I didn't know how it is to play video game. So I was imagining how you're playing video game. I was imagining that, okay, that you can sit in the front of the computer, and what you just press buttons, but I didn't know how it is with this game mechanics, how to make choices in a game, like what is the story exactly there. Like I had like a vague idea based on all the reviews and articles that I was reading, but it was just, yeah, I was just playing in my mind. And yeah, one of my cows called Kalina, she's always like sneaking behind me and trying to leak my magazines, which was always funny. She was like one of those playful cows. It's funny because like the cows have personalities, kind of like kids. When you have like young kids, I don't, but when you have young kids, you can see that they very early start showing the personality. The cows have that too. They're very different one from another. And Kalina was always the jokey one. She was the one that was sneaking behind me, trying to sniff what I'm doing. So anyway,
That
yeah.
is
So that's kind of how it
beautiful.
started.
Now, the problem is if Ryan doesn't interfere now, I would ask you more about Kalina because
I
I'm
was I
I'm
was gonna do
very
that. I
good.
wanted to ask, did Kalina make it into any of your quests or games later on?
That's funny. Like I think in The Witcher there is a character like, called like this, and she's mentioned somewhere, but I don't remember at this point. But yes, she did. Like she's in The Witcher 3, mentioned in one of like side materials, but I don't recall where at this point. But definitely, because I also told that story to the writer I was working with at the time, Karolina Stachera, and I remember that she told me that she's gonna use that name as well. So yeah, that's
That is so
that's.
beautiful. See, I didn't know that about you, and I'm so happy now. It makes me really happy. So, Ryan, do you have any question, or
I
do you
think
want
from
me to
this
just
point
keep
on,
going? Because
you're
we
doing an
cannot
amazing
top we
job,
can we
Paweł.
cannot top the Kalina story
No,
already.
but I think, broadening the horizon from like specific moments, I would love to know if you have any like core specific memories that kind of stuck with you during the process of game dev. Witcher 3,
Mm.
Cyberpunk 2077. You've worked on multiple quests, and now later on would also love to hear your thoughts on transitioning from working on one specific quest that's part of a bigger picture to kind of overseeing that picture. I think that's also a really interesting discussion. But first, what kind of like quest really stuck with you that you worked on?
With quests stuck with me. Oh my God! Like I think like all of them are somewhat of a memory. Like I think probably the one that beat my ass the most is the Battle of Cormoran. That was the one that was like such a struggle. It was like such a complicated quest because it's end of Act 1 in The Witcher 3, and the thing is, like, at this point there's like so many choices made and characters built and threads introduced, and I had to like grab it all, and create a consistent narrative out of it, and not drop anything, and not forget about any major many choices that players did, and just there was so many places to really like fuck it up in this place. So I really like put a lot of work into this quest. It was very complicated and it wasn't really working, from the beginning. So I remember like reviews with Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz. He was a quest lead at that time, and Konrad Tomaszkiewicz, a game director at the time. And yeah, like it was just like very often the reviews were going pretty badly, and I was like, okay, this is not good enough. This is not good enough. We need to improve this. We need to change that. So yeah, I was grinding on that quest like a madman to get it right, because I knew how important that beat is. I was feeling that I'm failing this. Though, in time, actually slowly building it up, I saw like more and more elements that it actually is coming together quite well. And the characters are feeling right. Those gameplay sequences are accelerating. It's fun, actually. Yeah. Like, Siri feels like Siri, and Vesemir and Eskel, all of them, and Leto, and, without spoilers, I guess. So all of them actually felt right. So I think like, yeah, Battle of Kermoren is probably the one. But, also like the whole Family Matters and Bloody Baron is the another one. And it was really like hard on me because like I was worried that it's so bad. I was telling you already this story actually a couple times. Like I was convinced during Witcher 3 that this is like so shit, because it was like so boring. Like the scenes were so long, and I was like, my God. So every time when I could, I was like trying to steal a little time to go back to that quest and just add something more. And I kept adding like interesting small things to like to peculiar finds for the players, so they felt that there was a care actually put into it. So there was like moments when you like leave the conversation with Baron and you go in, and then there's this outhouse, standing there, the wooden outhouse, and there are soldiers in a line waiting for an outhouse, and you can go in there and you can knock to the outhouse because there's just one of the soldiers like using it for too long, and there's like a funny conversation there. Yeah, I added things like this to just like bring like a life, to it. I like the fact that you can, go into the manor and actually explore and find the shrine of the daughter there, and learn more about them and the whole background. Anyway, I probably speak too much, but
no, you don't speak too much.
Perfect.
It's really cool. Sorry, Ryan. I know you are kind of split probably in the team, right? If you prefer watching people play your content, or you don't want to overwatch people playing your content.
Oh my God.
Do you? Okay. I can. I think I have an idea. But so, how is it for you to watch people play those quests, especially those where you say, there was so much work and so much of your energy?
Just to add to that,
interrupt me. Come on, let's go.
It's very hard to. It's a very strange feeling to kind of put your baby out there then, and be like, okay, now this is yours as well to experience, and not just my project anymore. And how does it feel then when people not only play it and you watch them, but they write whole dissertations on it? Like I actually wrote an article about the Bloody Baron quest at uni, because it stuck with me so much. And I know we get emails weekly from people that write their bachelor thesis on The Witcher 3 or on Cyberpunk. So how is that?
It was part of my job interview. My final job interview at CDPR, I went into the quest to discuss the quest and what it means and how important it is. So yeah.
Wow. Well, so first of all, my dears, like it's important to note that, there's a whole team, not only me, right, that makes those quests, right? Like without the writer, without the cinematic designer, artists that contributed to it, it wouldn't be what it is. It's not only me.
No game gets made by one or two people, right? Or like very few games.
So. Yeah, exactly. It's always just many different people contributing, to it. Well, I mean, so the thing is, like, I do get really stressed watching like people play. It takes me years to get over this and really, like, I still cannot really fully watch people play Witcher 3. I mean, I do that because like that is a part of a quest designer development. In a way, I always tell my designers that you need to think about the thoughts and feelings that you wanted to evoke and create in your player, and then you need to actually get that player to the point that they actually feel and think the things you wanted them to do. And then the best way to do it is actually watch streamers. You go back, you watch the streamers, you watch people whose whole job is to actually talk about their emotions and show them, what they think about what they're actually playing. And you look at them and you listen to them. And then as a designer, you look at that, you think about what they're saying, and you compare to your intent. And then you can know, okay, how well I have hit actually that exact tune, that exact note, that exact feeling, that thought that I wanted to bring. And sometimes it's fucking completely wrong, right? It's like somewhere out there, you're totally wrong. And it happens, really. But I would say like most of the time you will be somewhat right, you will be able to do it. And I think like the whole power about being a good storyteller is to be able to capture your thoughts, your feelings, lead you by the hand as a player and make you feel that you're not led like that you're discovering it on your own, but you feel this ghost of a designer sort of being there and making sure, taking care of your experience, making sure that you're going through all of those emotions. I think like that's very important. And that's what I always tell my designers, that design a thing, deliver it, and then after a while, after it's shipped, watch people play it. So I try to do the same, on my own. So I watch people play my things and think about it, but it's really painful sometimes. Oh my God. It's just like, I always cringe. I always just like clench my teeth, looking at it and thinking like, because it's just, especially when people like skip things or misunderstand things or
and then fast forward, and there's like, no.
Or they fast forward. I mean, don't many people who are actually streamers who you can watch like this, they don't really skip that many things very rarely.
I had a scene, not one of our games, but a very story-heavy game, and I watched a Let's Play of it, and in my favorite moment of the game, the streamer went to go to the bathroom, and I was just like... You mentioned storytelling, and I'm sure we're skipping, like, we are in The Witcher 3 and now we're skipping all the way to Cyberpunk, right? But not to dwell on the release of Cyberpunk, because I think that's a topic we talked about a lot. You talked about in multiple interviews, but there is this feeling that there was still a lot of things you wanted to do as a creator, but also we as a studio wanted to do after the release of Cyberpunk. And part of this was our continued effort, right, of releasing updates, releasing then also Phantom Liberty, Update 2.0, everything afterwards. This is a very broad question, but can you talk a bit more about what this has also meant for you to keep working on Cyberpunk after the release? And still, because you're still involved in Cyberpunk, so it's not done.
Yeah. I'm involved in Cyberpunk. For me, and I think like the best answer probably is that for me it's all about honor. For me it's all about honor. There are names on this game, and I don't want to have a situation ever in my life that there are names of the game, our names on the game, and we are not proud of it. That we are not happy with something that we have done. That being Witcher 3 or Cyberpunk or anything that we'll do in the future. So it's really that. It's about honor. And I always want to make sure that we delivered on what we intended to do. And reality is hard. It's not always that you can do everything you want and in the form you want. But I think you can do fucking a lot, if you really try. And I'm trying to do that. To be in exact that spot, that maybe we cannot do exactly what we wanted and exactly how we wanted and with exact amount as we wanted it.
But you try and you work. Yeah.
But we try and eventually you get close, I think eventually you get close to it. You aim for for the moon and you land in the stars, or other way around. I guess. But like eventually when you aim there, you're able to do it. And I just don't want to have a situation when just anything we did as a studio and all our devs and all the people in the team and everyone really, that our names are on the game that we are not proud of, or that we think that we had to cut corners, or we think that there was just some major issue on. So that's really it. And second thing is really connected to our players, right? Like, I just want our players to feel that when they come to the game made by CDPR, made by CD Projekt Red, it's gonna be fucking bonkers. And it's gonna be like, my God, I cannot believe that they did that. I cannot believe the characters, the story, the world, the music, like everything they did. I just cannot believe this is possible. I want to do that. Like, I want to just, all our life is short, and I always think about the Aristoteles, right? Like, you need to, like, life is meaningless until you give it a meaning. That's what I think. That's what I believe in, right? And at least the meaning of my life is, I want to give emotions and stories to people to go through, and because I want to impact their life in a way that they feel enriched, that they feel, wow, holy fuck, what I went through, that was like a one for a lifetime experience. And the moment when you like take a gamepad, keyboard, the Steam Deck, Switch, Mac, whatever you're playing on, vending machine, whatever you're playing on, when you just start playing our game, you feel like, my God, this was probably one of a lifetime experience, and I want this to stay with you as a player.
I have a saying that I annoy Ryan with. I stopped saying it as much, but I used to say to him, like, hey, look, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing well, right? Like, if we do it, let's do it justice. And I think that's a very, like, I can see it in the whole company, which makes me really excited, still to be here. So I'm not surprised.
It
was a beautiful answer, by the way. Thank you. Oh no, what's really the transition now, Ryan?
That more people get to experience this really crazy experience, because especially with keeping in mind all the stuff that we worked on with Cyberpunk in the past 5 years now, nearly. When I was at the Berlin Switch 2 hands-on experience, and people saw Cyberpunk running on this miniature device, and you can actually drive through Dogtown, and play this amazing story on the go in the subway, or like in a submarine if you want to. Like, you can play wherever you want. It kind of blew people away, and it also blew me away seeing it on that device. So I would love to hear more about your thoughts on, porting it to make it available to new generations of players, like be it on Mac, be it on Switch 2, and just continuing that horizon broadening.
And maybe also for us, because I think not all of our players know what this process looks like. So maybe also talking about collaborating with like Virtuos and our partners on how this actually works, right?
Yeah, so this is a very complex process, and I'm wondering how I can answer this question in a pretty simple way. So let's just like break it down into pieces. So first of all is that we want to be able to reach out as many players as we can, and just allow people to play this game on whatever they prefer playing it at. And that's just always been our philosophy. We're trying really to do it justice and really make sure that whatever platform you're playing on, it really is a great experience. And that that applies to like Switch 2 and and the Mac release that we had just recently. It was a lot of work really to get it right. And the secret here is into really having the right people there, people who actually know that game very, very well. And that goes to designers, that goes to engineers specifically, when you have such a huge undertaking like making Cyberpunk work on the Switch 2 and the Mac version. In case of Mac, actually we collaborated with Apple team, and Apple has been super helpful with actually making sure we are using Metal and all kinds of actually techniques to make sure that it runs really well on Mac. And with Switch, It was in most cases just covered completely by us internally because we really wanted to make sure that we do it right. And even when we collaborate, on the we did the update 2.2 and 2.3 together with Virtuos. When we collaborate with external partner, like I am very hands-on with this process. Like I do, like when we work on anything together, I do review it daily. I do look at it daily. Like that, it's not that even when you work on with someone else, an external partner, we do like kind of like go completely hands off for like months and so on. We are really in the process with our whole studio, our team, and we try to leverage all parts of our structure from like the community team to marketing to all kinds of like access to the players that we have, to the feedback that we can provide. Like literally, we are using all our structure across the board to really actually help out with that given project that we're working on. So I think this is where the secret is. Like I think like working with external companies is possible. You just need to really put a work into this. Make sure you build like a great relationship, great bonds with those people, so everyone understands the goals. And you kind of need to be relentless. You need to be like, okay, well, we are not going to ship this until it's fucking amazing. Until it actually really plays well on that Switch, until it really plays well on that Mac. And because there's always things you can do. There's just always things you can do. Maybe not exactly the way you want it, but you can get close. And that is where we are really always trying to get to. So there's a lot of science to it. Of course, how to set up the process and what kind of people you have to have involved. It really depends what you're building, but it is doable. It is doable, and we have done it already a couple of times.
Is there maybe something about this process, of course, without going too much into detail, that people should know more about on the outside, because sometimes you read like, oh yeah, I wish this was on this platform, or I wish that was possible. Is there something you think we should shed more light on as an industry in general, but also us as a company?
Yeah, I mean, there's like so many, I would say, technical details that are like, I think, so hard to grasp for a player who's just sitting in home and just wants to have a great experience. That's it.
Yeah.
That's just like what every one of us wants. But as a game developer, especially developer of our scale, you have to there's just so many regulations. There is so many things that you have to think about, requirements of a certain platforms that you're playing on, that being like different storefronts, you're using it from, or, different platforms that you're using, or, even like technologies connected to let's say, upscaling technologies, if you are using FSR or even XS or whatever actually else, or DLS, whatever is in your mind that you're using as a player, you expect that thing to work for you. But there's so many constraints and so many factors connected with that. And you need to really know so much to actually really understand this. So I would say the difficulty is in scale and just in depth. And I would say complexity of that knowledge to really be able to speak in a simple terms to players and community who might not have that knowledge. Because the thing is that a lot of that technology is just bleeding edge shit. It's just like stuff that you just don't have it. Like it's not something like a player who is like maybe even playing other games and knows a lot about it may know. When we've been doing like path tracing with NVIDIA, that stuff was just so new and experimental, and the way this was executed, it's not just something that you can pull off like this, and for instance, things like, introducing patterns and motion controls and gyro to Switch 2 version, right? We had to build that thing from a ground up and really go back to the whole gameplay and really rethink everything. Rethink completely the way how you're interacting with the game. And for the players, it may feel like, oh yeah, they just added an option to look around, from gyro. While in the fact we had to go skill by skill, perk by perk, make sure that what kind of motoric movement all kinds of people do when, let's say, to heal yourself. What is the motion that you would do in the game that you want to heal yourself? What is intuitive for a player who's German, American, Chinese, Japanese, Polish? What are the gestures? And a lot of it is just cultural, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it is there, for someone to make a movement. It's just like some people feel that making like a small movements, it's enough to like, it should be enough for a game to recognize that I'm trying to like, smack my button and hit people, versus like some people think that we should make a movement like chopping wood. And for them, it's the same thing. They're trying to do because we are taught different patterns, right? And it's just so complicated.
But it's so cool. It's so
that's
cool
awesome.
though. It's such a good thing also. And I asked you this question because you are known, I think, internally and externally for just talking to our community a lot, and just being very close to them. That's why I wanted to know what else would you want to share with them. And I think this the Nintendo Switch 2 example is a great one, right? Because we would say, hey, we released Cyberpunk on the Switch 2, but it's not that we released it. We reworked it almost from the ground up, right?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I think like post-release, I commented on that. People call it the port, and media call it the port. While like it's not really the port. Like we have spent so much time rebuilding this game for this platform. That's the reason why it runs so well. It's not like a miracle that it's just like, oh yeah, we just enabled it on that platform and it works. It's just like you have to make that game work like this and rebuild it. So it's really, really very far away from the port. It's been built for the platform.
It kind of stuck with me when I went to the office and was able to take part in one of those, let's say, how do you call it? Like a basically
test.
like a play test, exactly, with the motion control and testing out the Nintendo Switch 2 features. And I kind of realized that a lot of these things are not set in stone, and it's not like, oh yeah, obviously it's this movement, but no, you have to first check out what actually feels right, what feels smooth, and what your brain goes towards immediately. And it also showed me how many different teams still need to work on this project. As you said, it's not just one group of people, the port team that's like, okay, now I press the button, now it's available on the Switch 2. No, you have to have so many teams that go back to their previous work and kind of adjust it and adapt it.
Yeah, but also the cultural thing, right? Like I'm a person that usually speaks a lot with her hands. That is why I always have this thing to calm me down, to just keep my hands still. But if the Switch was so responsive to me, then I would do nothing but probably heal myself and use perks that I don't want to use, right? So no, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, Caro,
Ryan,
I have to be our time police, but I think,
yes.
Do you have one burning question left that you want to ask?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I? Cool.
Yes.
Paweł, what does our community mean to you?
Oh my God, like I spoke about it many times. I mean, the thing is like you guys are the reason why we do this, right? You are the reason why we do this. Like we can sit here in Boston, Warsaw, Berlin, and all kinds of places all over the world and like cook fucking crazy things. And if there would be no one to experience this, it's, it doesn't matter then, right? It only matters when it reaches you, when it reaches the audience, when it reaches our players. Like that's the reality, right? Like we don't do it for ourselves, we do it for you. So you're really the reason why we're doing this, and that's super important. Like you cannot imagine how many times, it's probably daily, I would say, we as devs, when we talk about it, we talk about our players and we talk what we can do for our players, how it should be for our players, how it should be for would player like that or would player prefer this. That's like in the center of conversations all the time, every day when we work on our games, that being Witcher or Cyberpunk. That's always in our minds, because we do it for you, right? To give you the emotions, to give you the thoughts, to give you the experience, to leave you with something in your lives.
I think that's why this was my burning question.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was beautiful.
I couldn't have said it any way better, and I wouldn't even want to try. So thank you very, very much for joining us, Paweł. I'm very certain that we will be able to speak to you again in the future. I'm so excited to talk to you about upcoming projects and how it is to live in the US and how it is to build a team from scratch. But we'll have time for that in the future. So first of all, now thank you so much for taking the time, and I know our community appreciates you for taking that time. Thank you, Caro, for joining me here today again as well. And
Always.
I think with that, I'll ask everyone to look for Paweł Sasko on Twitter or the platform of your choice. Is there anywhere specifically that people should contact you if they want to get in touch, Paweł?
Oh, I think like the Twitter is probably the easiest, really. But I take a look on Blue Sky or any other place,
Yes.
or Threads. So.
Or you can also ask questions in the comments on YouTube. Sorry if you're on Spotify or Apple or somewhere else, but if you're on YouTube, ask questions in the comments, and we will reach out to Paweł if we think those questions deserve a great answer, and then we can follow up on that.
Yeah, just to add to that, you can also ask questions now on Spotify as well. I'm not sure about Apple, but Spotify, I see your questions there.
Cool. Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you very much for taking the time, Paweł.
Thank you so much.